Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're tackling a really fascinating and fast-moving area, the core banking market in Vietnam.
Yeah, absolutely. It's changing so quickly.
We've got this really insightful report looking at the digital transformation across Vietnamese banks and, the competition there.
Intense competition between the big established players and some really interesting newcomers.
Exactly. So our mission really is to cut through the noise, get to the heart of what you need to know about this market.
Understand the forces reshaping banking tech over there.
Right, without you having to wade through pages and pages of dense reports.
Definitely. And maybe just to set the stage quickly, core banking, what are we actually talking about?
Good point.
It's basically the fundamental tech infrastructure, the backbone of the bank's operations.
So processing transactions, managing accounts.
Handling payments, yeah, all that essential stuff. It's like the engine room. Customers don't see it directly, but it impacts everything they do with the bank.
Okay, got it. Foundational. So why should you, our listener, care about Vietnamese core banking?
Well, if you're trying to understand, a really dynamic B2B fintech scene.
Or maybe get your head around the big tech decisions banks are grappling with.
Yeah, those strategic choices. Or even if you're just interested in seeing how competition plays out in, a vibrant Southeast Asian market.
We think we got you covered. We'll pull out the key intelligence for you.
All right, let's dive in.
Okay, so the big picture. What's driving all this activity in Vietnam?
Well, the main thing is just the sheer momentum of digital transformation in their banking sector. It's huge.
Not just keeping up, but like a core strategy now.
Exactly. It's a strategic imperative.
Yeah.
And that's creating massive opportunities for these core banking solution providers.
The report mentions a few key drivers. Obviously, transaction volumes are way up.
Massively.
But also, banks needing to be more competitive.
Right.
Especially after joining the WTO.
Mm-hmm. That increased the pressure significantly. And when you look at their top priorities,
yeah, things like regulations, improving asset quality.
Customer focus, getting that digital and physical presence right.
And just staying ahead of the competition. How does that pressure their core systems?
Well, that's the crux of it. A lot of Vietnamese banks are or were running on older legacy core platforms.
Okay. Fit for purpose back then, maybe?
Exactly. But now they pose real challenges. The report flags things like lack of automation.
Customer data stuck in different places.
Yeah, those silos. And just the sheer cost of maintaining these old systems, it's expensive.
Right. And those limitations make it hard to hit those strategic goals we just talked about.
Precisely. So the need to upgrade feels really urgent, especially with customer expectations now.
Real-time 2047 banking. It's standard now.
It is. And that stat from the 2023 survey was pretty stark.
The 94% one.
Yeah, 94% of Vietnamese bank execs felt slow digital transformation was actually costing them customers.
Wow. Okay, that's a powerful motivator.
It really is. And then you layer on the demographics.
Vietnam's population is very young.
Yeah. Super young. Over 70% under 35. And incredibly tech-savvy. Smartphone use is around 90%.
So, completely different expectations for banking.
Totally. They expect seamless digital experiences.
And that's not just consumer pressure. The State Bank of Vietnam, the SBV, seems supportive.
Very much so. They're actively encouraging digital innovation, things like cloud adoption, open banking APIs.
We saw that with VAB, Vietnam International Bank, first in the country to run its core on the cloud.
That's right, using AWS. It was a big signal.
What did it signal exactly?
Well, VIB's move, plus the SBV's general stance, it really showed an openness from the regulators, a forward-looking approach.
Which makes it easier for other banks to follow suit.
Creates a much more favorable environment for adopting modern core solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it reflected in the rise of digital-only banks, too.
Like TNEX and TMO.
Exactly. TNEX is backed by MSD. And what's interesting is these new players, they pretty much always go for cloud-native cores right from the start.
Gives them a big advantage, I guess. Agility, cost.
Huge advantages in agility and scalability,
Right.
yeah.
But the traditional banks aren't just sitting back.
No, definitely not. Many are launching their own digital spinoffs.
Like HD Bank with Vicky.
Yeah, their Viet Future Bank Vicky. And significantly, they chose Thought Machine's modern core platform for that.
Okay, so you've got this really interesting dynamic. Established banks upgrading for omnichannel, for personalization.
While the challengers are starting fresh with these lean, fast, cloud-native cores.
Sets up a real battleground for the tech providers.
Absolutely. And like the report says, the market is dominated by international vendors right now.
No big homegrown Vietnamese core banking software company?
Not really dominant, no. Local IT firms are more focused on the integration side, helping implement these foreign systems.
Okay, let's break down the players then. The legacy side first. Some big global names here.
Top of the list seems to be Temenos from Switzerland, around 37.5% market share.
Clients like Techcom Bank, Sacom Bank, MB Bank, big names.
Yeah, they have a proven Tier 1 core, meaning it's built for large, complex banks, plus a strong local presence, which matters.
And they offer open APIs. What does that unlock for banks?
Open APIs are crucial. It means their core system can easily connect and share data with other systems, internally and externally. Third parties too.
So that helps innovation, integrating new services faster.
Exactly. Creates a much more flexible digital ecosystem. Super important.
Okay. Then there's Oracle FSS, U.S. company.
Holding about 25% share. Clients like ACB, Limbiet Postbank.
Strength there.
Well-established reputation, definitely. Broad functionality. And obviously it fits neatly into the wider Oracle tech world if a bank uses other Oracle products.
Right, the ecosystem place. Who else? FIS.
FSS, formerly SunGard, yeah. Around 6% share. They had legacy solutions at places like HD Bank previously.
Fiserv.
About 9.4%, mostly through an acquisition, OSI. ACB was a client, not a huge new contender, it seems.
Silver Lake from Malaysia.
Smaller share, but they serve some big state-owned banks like Vietcom Bank, BIDV, known regionally for retail and cards.
Interesting how some big global players have less presence.
Yeah.
Infosys Finacle, huge in Asia generally.
Very limited adoption in Vietnam, yeah. Exim Bank is one mentioned. TCS from India, also quite niche, mainly legacy stuff.
What about Hyundai IT from Korea?
They have a notable share, around 6.3%, mainly because of a big contract with Agribank, often linked to ODA funding.
ODA.
Official development assistance, like government aid projects. Their system handles high volume and is localized, but it's mostly that one big client driving the share.
Okay. And then some others like Polaris Intellect, Unisys.
Yeah.
More legacy, maybe facing replacement.
Seems like it, yeah. Niche players, older systems.
All right, let's shift to the neocore entrants, the modern cloud-based players.
Yeah.
Bamboo from Germany.
T-player, offering a SaaS cloud core, API-first design.
SaaS meaning software as a service.
Yeah.
Subscription model in the cloud.
Exactly. Lower upfront costs, more flexible. And they've got clients already, the digital banks, TNEX and TMO.
And Thought Machine from the UK, we mentioned their deal with HD Bank.
Yeah, that was significant. 2022. Powering HD Bank's core transformation and their digital bank, Vicky.
Their platform uses smart contracts and microservices. Can you unpack that quickly?
Sure. Smart contracts are like self-executing agreements written in code. Automates things, adds security.
Okay.
And microservices means the whole system is broken into small, independent parts. You can change or scale one part without messing up the whole thing. Super flexible.
Sounds very agile. Who else in this neo-core space?
10x Banking, also UK, cloud native, 10x super core. No clients announced in Vietnam yet, but they're entering the region.
Selling points.
Ultra scalability, apparently. And lower cost to serve.
And Vilja from Sweden.
Right, Vilja Core. They call it a composable core. Planning a 2025 entry via local partners like FPT, Gemasis.
Composable, what's that mean?
It means the system is built from modular blocks, like Lego. Banks can pick and choose the capabilities they need and assemble them. Highly customizable.
Interesting. So a real mix of old guard and new challengers. And the local Vietnamese firms mostly act as integrators.
Yeah, FPTIS, CMC, they play that crucial role of implementation partner, bridging the gap for the international vendors.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all these players fighting for deals, how do they actually market and sell these complex systems to banks in Vietnam? It's not like selling a phone plan.
No, definitely not. It's classic B2B. The report really stresses the relationship-driven approach. Trust is key.
Personal connections matter a lot.
Hugely. Building those long-term partnerships.
So what are the key strategies? Industry events must be important.
Very. Conferences, forums. You see Temenos hosting their own events. But the newcomers, like Vilja, are doing it too. Hosting receptions, making introductions.
And FaceTime.
Exactly. And strategic partnerships are vital.
Teaming up with those local IT firms we mentioned.
Yeah, local integrators like FPT, Jamas's, also global tech firms like AWS or consultancies like Deloitte, PwC.
Why partner?
The local partners bring market knowledge, boots on the ground support, and existing relationships. Vilja, launching with multiple partners, shows how crucial that is.
Content marketing must play a role, too, demonstrating expertise.
Absolutely. Banks are making huge, long-term bets here. Vendors need to be seen as trusted advisors.
So white papers, case studies, webinars.
Thought leadership pieces. That 10x banking study on digital transformation in APAC and Vietnam, that's a good example. Addressing local pain points.
Does digital marketing work in this B2B space?
It does, but in a targeted way. LinkedIn is big for reaching executives.
Sponsored posts, maybe?
Yeah, and localized websites, Mambu, Thought Machine have those. Email newsletters. PR is important too, announcing big wins like SHB picking Temenos builds credibility.
But ultimately, it comes down to direct sales, right?
Very much so. Regional sales teams, building relationships, doing detailed demos, handling those complex RFPs.
Proof of concept projects, too.
Yeah, POCs are common, showing the tech works in their environment, and crucially, reassuring banks about local support. It's all about building trust over time.
It's important to really draw that line between this B2B marketing core providers to banks and the B2C stuff banks do, isn't it?
Totally different worlds. B2B here is narrow targeting, high touch, focus on expertise, ROI.
Channels like conferences, direct sales, industry press.
Right. Whereas B2C is mass reach, brand building, simple messages about convenience or rewards.
Using social media like Zalo or TikTok, online ads, billboards.
Completely different playbook. But the critical link, and this is key,
Yes.
the B2B pitch from the core provider has to connect to the B2C outcomes the bank cares about.
So how does this core system help us launch products faster, get more customers, offer better experiences?
Exactly. That's the connection they need to make, clearly.
Okay, let's dig into the competitive positioning. How did these different types of vendors stack up? The incumbents first, Temenos, Oracle.
Their big advantage is the track record. Proven systems, comprehensive functionality developed over years, big local user groups too.
Seen as the safe bet, maybe? Lower risk.
Often, yeah. And they're not standing still. They're pushing their own cloud capabilities, open APIs now too, sometimes offering different tiers for different sized banks.
And the neocores, 10x, Thought Machine, Mambu.
They position themselves as the agile, flexible, often more cost-effective choice. The challengers.
Selling points are cloud native, real-time, microservices, open APIs.
Right. Often targeting the digital-only banks or those undergoing major transformations. Their message is basically, we enable speed and innovation. SaaS pricing helps too.
What about the local versus foreign angle? We said that tech is foreign,
But the local dimension is absolutely critical for service, implementation, customization. Having a local office, local partners, Vietnamese speakers, that's non-negotiable, really.
we're seeing market share shifts, right?
Yeah.
It's not static.
No, it's definitely in flux. Temenos and Oracle had the historical dominance, but replacement cycles are opening things up.
Like SHB moving from Polaris to Temenos.
Or Keelong Bank choosing Oracle for their upgrade. But the neocores are getting wins too, especially in digital banks. Thought Machine's HD Bank deal is the big one so far.
So the incumbents are responding with their own SaaS offerings.
They have to. The market is moving that way. And there's also this interesting dynamic where core vendors might partner or compete with the companies providing the front-end digital banking apps.
So it's not just core versus core.
No, it's an ecosystem play sometimes. Ultimately, banks are comparing them on cost, risk, compliance, performance, and scalability. Those are the big factors.
Okay, so let's flip it. When a Vietnamese bank is making this huge decision, what drives their choice? What are they looking for?
Top of the list. Regulatory fit. Absolute must-have.
Making sure the system handles local rules, SPV reporting, VND currency specifics.
Open API mandates, data localization rules, all of it. Does the vendor understand the Vietnamese context?
Having existing clients in Vietnam must be a huge plus.
Massive advantage. Shows they get it. And risk aversion is real banks often lean towards established players here. The fact that SBV uses Temenos internally gets noted.
Okay, compliance is number one. What else?
Strategic alignment. Does the core system fit the bank's ambition? Are they going for aggressive digital growth or more consolidation?
Does it support omnichannel goals? Future-proof them for things like embedded finance.
Exactly. It needs to align with their roadmap.
And money talks, presumably. Cost.
Oh, absolutely. Total cost of ownership, TCO, and return on investment, ROI. They scrutinize this heavily.
Not just the sticker price, but long-term costs.
Right.
Maintenance, upgrades, hardware.
The whole life cycle cost. They want clear ROI projections. How will this save us money or make us money? Scalable pricing is attractive too, especially for growing banks. Phased payments might be needed.
They'll look at benchmarks, I imagine.
Definitely. They need to justify the expense.
Beyond cost and compliance, what about the tech itself?
Integration capabilities are critical. Open APIs for easy connections, real-time data sync, modern architecture like microservices.
Does it play nice with their existing systems?
Crucial point. And localization language, local data formats, integration with local payment networks like NAPAs.
And the vendor themselves, their reputation.
Hugely important. Is the vendor financially stable, globally reputable? What's their commitment to Vietnam specifically?
Do they have good project management? A solid local support structure?
Yes. Local office, Vietnamese speakers on staff. They'll check references thoroughly, review RFP responses in detail. Vendor reputation matters a lot.
And ultimately, it has to help the bank serve its customers better.
Precisely. How does this core help us deliver a better customer experience? A 360-degree view of the customer.
Faster onboarding, personalized products, system uptime.
All of that. Integration with their CRM, built-in analytics. These are increasingly important factors.
And given the scale of these projects, managing risk must be key.
Definitely. Banks are cautious about big bang replacements. They often prefer a phased implementation or a modular approach.
So vendors need to show how they mitigate risk.
Yes. Offer robust data migration tools, good training programs, maybe risk mitigation features in the platform itself. Those proof of concept projects help build confidence too.
Okay, putting it all together, if you're a new entrant like a 10x Banking trying to break into Vietnam, what are the implications? What do you need to do?
Well, rule number 1, localize and build credibility fast.
Even with great tech, they need that local commitment.
Absolutely. Use relevant case studies, even if from similar markets initially. Get strong local partners, IT firms for implementation and support.
Have a local face, a country manager.
Essential. Someone who knows the market, and engage proactively with regulators, industry groups. Build that trust.
How should they talk about their technology?
Frame the differentiators in local terms. Talk about how your platform solves Vietnamese bank pain points like enabling 24/7 digital, scaling for high growth.
Link agility to market opportunities.
Yeah.
Like serving young consumers or the unbanked.
Exactly. Show how you help them capitalize on local trends and emphasize easy integration with the local fintech ecosystem.
Content and success stories seem vital too.
Critical. Develop thought leadership specifically for Vietnam, core banking 2.0 in Vietnam, something like that. Webinars, case studies showing real results.
Getting a local pilot project would be huge.
Game changer. A strong local reference is incredibly powerful.
And partnerships keep coming up.
Because they're crucial. Implementation specialists, cloud providers like AWS, local fintech API providers. Build that ecosystem to offer a more complete solution.
How do they tackle the risk factor? Being the new kid on the block.
Address it head on. Propose phased adoption to reduce risk. Offer detailed migration plans. Provide excellent local training. Maybe performance guarantees.
Highlight regulatory compliance elsewhere and show how they'll handle Vietnamese rules.
Yes, be very clear and proactive about compliance and support.
And finally, competing against the big incumbents.
Be smart about it. They'll likely face aggressive pricing or bundled deals from established players.
So focus on value, not just price.
Exactly. Emphasize the value of true transformation, the agility, the innovation enabled by a modern core, and maybe highlight more attentive, agile support as a differentiator.
Okay. So wrapping up this deep dive, Vietnam's core banking market, clearly a really vibrant, competitive space.
Yeah, a fascinating tussle. Established players pushing stability and their comprehensive suites.
Against these agile newcomers, offering next-gen tech for the digital age.
And banks are making these choices based on a whole mix of factors.
Regulations, strategic goals, cost, tech capabilities, vendor reputation, customer experience, and managing risk. It's complex.
It really is. Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener.
Okay.
Given this rapid digital adoption in Vietnam and how even big traditional banks are embracing new tech, what other established B2B tech markets in Southeast Asia might be, ripe for similar disruption?
Interesting question. What could companies in, say, insurance tech or supply chain tech learn from what's happening in Vietnamese core banking.
Worth thinking about. The dynamics might be quite similar.
Definitely something to mull over.
Yeah.
If you want to explore this specific topic further, you could research some of those neo-core vendors we mentioned, Mambu, Thought Machine, 10x Banking.
Or look up some recent reports on digital banking trends in Vietnam. There's plenty out there for a deeper understanding.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.